Okay, let's begin. So today's date is January the 9th. It's a Monday, and a lot has happened in the market so far. I mean, we've seen Bitcoin break some key resistances, bouncing at $16,700. We've seen Sol literally do 100% in about, I think, 10 days or so. It bounced right before the new year. That was quite a New Year's Eve gift for us there. I mean, at $8, I was sitting there just humming and hawing. Should I buy this? Not really sure about these FBF coins. Surely enough, guess how many I bought? Zero, of course. And then I ended up buying quite a few at $13. So I'm still happy that I got in, but nobody would have believed that it was going to do something like 100%. But it was mainly thanks to Vitalik Buterin. He ended up tweeting that, hey, it's good that all these SBF coins ended up getting eliminated from the market and they dropped. All these bad projects are gone. And Sol's got a really good developer team. So he tweeted that. And within 7 minutes of his tweet, I think $690 million was injected into Sol. And that's what caused that massive spike. And then we've seen other coins like Kava rally really well. And of course, the number one gainer has been Gala. Excuse me, I have bronchitis, so I'm going to cough a little bit. So, so Gala did literally a 100% gain so far in a really short period of time. So we're going to talk about how the momentum has now shifted from basically sideways slash bearish to some coins gaining 100% and up. And then we've had coins like Ocean and Zill today as well. GMT has been spiking up. I see today ADA, Cardano has been a really big heavy hitter. So before, wow, I really apologize, guys. I'm trying to do a live stream with bronchitis. It's not the best idea. I'm going to talk a little bit quieter. So we've noticed this major shift in momentum, which means it's going to bring up some questions. And one of the major questions that's going to come up is, was this the bottom? And I know a lot of you are probably wondering, was this the bottom? Do I start buying now? Because some coins are definitely doing some major runs. And the answer to that is, I'm not really sure. Just based on so many technical factors from the past before, Bitcoin has been in a bear market for over 400 days. And based off of history, that's roughly how long we usually stay in the bear market for. The bear market is defined by when it reached the top to when it reached the bottom. And it took about 400 days, just like in 2018, just like in 2014. And then after we reach a bottom, it usually is a slow period of accumulation for about 1 full year. So after we hit a top and we drop to the bottom, it's not always going to be a huge rally that begins. It's usually going to be a really slow period of recovery. And then the months that are green, they're going to be more than last month. Last month, I think we had only 4 months that were in the green, where the month began and the month ended. And then we had 8 months of red. And hopefully this year, usually after the bear market year, we get about 6 and 6, sometimes more green. And then in the bull market, we usually get like way over 6 months that are green. There's a really good chart by Benjamin Cohen into the Cryptoverse. He's got like the monthly returns by year and it shows you green, red. That's something that's pretty cool to check out as well. So I'm always wondering as well, like a few days ago, I'm not going to lie about it. A few days ago, I posted in my Discord group that I shed 80% of the portfolio. And then, of course, over the next 3 days, the whole portfolio would have gone up an extra 10%. And then, so that was kind of a mistake on my part, but you never would have known, right? Risk management is extremely important. And the way that you should see risk management is layers. See it as different layers that's going to protect you from getting wiped out. And one of my methods of managing my risk was to get rid of a huge position simply because I'm still bearish. Based off of fair market value, we're slightly under right now, but we usually stay under for a long period of time. Based off of the logarithmic regression band, we're always hovering on the lower band, usually for a much longer period than now. And then usually when we're going sideways, just like right now, there's always one major capitulation before we actually start the bull market or before we actually hit a bottom. So that one last capitulation hasn't happened yet. Everyone's expecting 84%. Some of the top YouTubers, some of the biggest investors in the world, they're still hesitant right now because of inflation, world economic factors. These Fed rate hikes, it's affecting the whole world. There's a housing crisis right now as well. And there's an energy crisis in Europe as well. So Lots of factors, especially regulation. Lots of things happen with exchanges like FTX. So now regulation, it's just waiting. As soon as regulation comes into play, and for example, a stable coin is actually regulated, like USDC or USDT, it could be the catalyst to a major bull market. Not only that, the year before the halving tends to be slow as well. So the halving is sometime in May, I believe, 2024. So there's just lots of factors that led me to get rid of the position that I had because I'm still bearish. So the option was this, to hold on to a 7-figure portfolio, and then if Bitcoin dropped, for example, to $12,000, which is a 25% drop for Bitcoin, and half of my portfolio is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the other half are alts. Like top ones are like Algo, Sol, Matic, AVAX, just to name some of the few. Cardano, I don't know if I said that. Link, HBAR, Dot. So some of the big ones, those make up for 50%. If Bitcoin fell down 25%, those alts would have taken a tanking. We're talking like 60%, maybe up, some of them at least 25%. So Bitcoin drops a number, these alts tend to drop a multiplying factor. So 25% at least. Some will drop double, if not even more. So I don't want to see a 7-figure portfolio literally diminish like $700,000-800,000. I don't think my stomach could take that. So my better option was to either buy it on strength if we break some key factors, which we're going to get into, or buy it on a dip. So I had to make sure I protected myself. And if a dip happened, I'd be even happier because based off of that one last capitulation theory of mine where there's always one last drop to go to the bottom, then that would have been heaven for a lot of investors. So let's take a look at the market. I think that was a pretty long intro already. Take a look at Bitcoin. And this is where a major short position of mine is most likely going to be accumulated. I did call that we were going to get roughly to $18,000 a few days ago. I love you too, big boss. Thanks, man. So take a look here. I use something called the chandelier exit indicator and also a moving average combined with a channel that we're seeing. So the first thing that we're seeing is clearly a channel. If you go to the 2-day, you see that this chandelier exit indicator, what it does is it takes a multiplier of the ATR. The ATR is the average true range that measures the volatility of a coin within a set period of time. And then it gives you this. So I consider it like an ATR resistance where the volatility simply cannot break out of here. And if you take a look at this 2-day ATR, and the setting for this one is 3 and 14, what we can see is that we've never broken the volatility since $47,000 range. That's crazy. $47,000 range. If you had noticed the volatility was increasing, and let's say it broke down and it continued, and then let's just an example, you ended up shorting it at the ATR resistance, or sorry, the chandelier exit resistance, you would still be riding the position right now with a 43% gain. And then the way that you would close your position, chandelier exits are not good for entries, okay? Just to be clear, they're very good for exits. They tell you when the volatility has changed so you can exit a trade. That's why it's called the chandelier exit, not entry, just to be clear. So we see that it's been trending since literally April for 287 days now that the volatility hasn't been broken. So is it likely that when we get to this range, we're going to break to the upside and continue based off of all those factors I mentioned earlier? On top of this right now as well, if you take a look at the 55 and the 200 moving average, actually, I'll just go with the 55. I use 55 EMA because it's a Fibonacci number. You can use whatever you like, including 50, of course. Now, if you take a look at the 50 EMA, it's also exactly right here as well. And the last time we actually stayed above it consistently, the 55 EMA, was literally in the bull market. That's a long time ago. And then we broke out of it slightly right here. And ever since then, we've literally been trending below the 55 EMA on the 2-day. We hit it one time here, and there's no doubt that we're eyeing for right here. So now we've got this channel that has been forming since July. We've now got this 55 moving average on the 2-day. And we've also got the chandelier exit indicator showing us the volatility. And everything matches to this exact point right now. And there's no other way to see it, right? So if we get there, we really have to ask ourselves, based off of everything going on, is it likely to break to the upside? So my answer is no. If it does break to the upside, it could really well mean that the bull market bottom was actually, or sorry, the bottom was in already, and now we're in the bull market accumulation phase for literally a year. So this is a really vital part right now to either Bitcoin rallying extremely hard or not. And who knows, if we do break it, perhaps it's going to be a very temporary bull run. But what we've seen so far are massive runs on everything. So this is a point where I'm going to wait for a rejection. And my advice, not financial advice, is to never really enter on a resistance or support directly. It's better to confirm a rejection. For example, if there's a rejection there, and then it drops to make a lower low, and then it makes a lower high, or sorry, not like that. It goes up there, it rejects, comes down, it makes a lower high now, and then as it's coming down, this is the entry. This is the best entry. You want to confirm a resistance first, or sorry, a support first and a rejection. Once it breaks the support, that's the safest entry. And entry is a delicate balance between ensuring you're going to make some profit and also getting confirmation. Now, a lot of people will enter without confirmation. That means that one of two things. Either they're very, very greedy and they want to make the maximum profit and they don't confirm the trade, or they simply don't have any rules to enter a trade. So you need to have rules and criterias to enter a trade if you want to protect yourself. Like, it's one of the ways of just managing your risk, of making sure that you got these layers and know exactly where to enter a trade. Because if you just enter randomly where there's a resistance or support, or where you feel that it's going to go that way, it's not a good enough reason. And a lot of traders will get wiped out. I've seen a lot of people in my Discord group where I'm saying that, hey, I'm interested in a trade. I'm going to enter exactly because of these reasons. And it's a very set reason, and it's a good reason. But if it doesn't happen, then I don't enter. But some people, they'll just jump the gun and they'll enter the position even before it happens. And then the position goes against them and they lose the trade. But myself, I'm not even in the trade because the criterias were never met. And that's the difference between having a solid entry and perhaps entering because you want to make the maximum profit. So entering at the resistance is not good enough because it could very well break to the upside. So I'm just going to review Gala for you guys very quickly. Gala is by far one of the craziest coins that we've seen this year so far, on top of Sol. Gala did 170%. And I didn't catch any of this, to be quite honest, except for a few days ago where I made like, I think $11,000 on it. And that was a risky trade. I made it over here on this one. Super risky trade. Ended up waiting forever for it to finally go down. So we see Gala do a huge rally. And right now we're all in that mindset, right? We're all in that mindset of being bearish still. So when you see a coin doing something like 100%, it's hard to switch it up. So that's why I wasn't able to catch any of these long positions. In fact, my short from that $11,000 profit, it was from a short position, not a long. So it's really important to kind of readjust your brain and change up your strategies when you're seeing these major parabolic moves to the upside. So for Gala over here, what you're seeing is a parabolic move. And I was so sure yesterday, honestly, this is what happened. I know a lot of people lost money. I thought that the fifth wave was actually in already, right here. The reason why I thought it was in already is I'll show you with the bar replay. You can see on a lower time frame that there's about 5 waves in here already. 1, 2, actually it was over here where I thought it was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where I thought it was over, but it kept extending and extending and extending. So what happens in the bull market that you're not going to see in the bear market is these massive parabolic moves that do extended waves. So a lot of people would have thought, including myself, that this was the 5 that I showed you earlier. But now this could be the 5 up there. If that's not the 5, it could very well be something else. Like this made a 1, 2, and then this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. That kind of double top. And then there's a 4 coming. So that Elliott wave could have been a part of a bigger degree wave. And this is what happens all the time in a bull market where there's so many huge subwaves in the waves that it leaves you incredibly confused. So this was a really difficult coin to trade. And in my strategy guide, guys, in my bull market strategy guide, that's going to take literally about 300 hours to make. And then it's going to include filming, editing. It's none of the fillers in between that you've seen in my other courses. It's really well made, and the quality is probably I'm really proud of it. Put it that way. It's going to be better than anything I've ever released, and the price is going to be pretty cheap, like really cheap, that everyone's going to get it. And you're definitely going to want to learn about how to play a bull market if you're not experienced already, because you got to prepare for a bull market, right? You don't just go into a bull market and be like, yep, I'm going to do well. People get wiped out all the time in the bull market. You know how? Because they think it's going parabolic and they can buy any and it's going to go up. But that's not true, because there's the emotional side of it as well, where people are going to have that fear. Because sometimes you'll buy on a parabolic rally and instead of going up, it goes down. And then you get shaken out because it's dropped like 10%. And then it just continues to go upwards. So many people lose money in a bull market, but of course more in a bear market. It's just so important to study well before the bull market comes. If you don't study, you're going to be really left behind. If it's your first bull market that you're going to see in the next year, probably, it's going to be difficult to trade it efficiently because it's your first one. Your second one, you've had more experience. Your third one, this is mine after 7 years now, actually 8 years coming up, you're probably going to do a lot better than the first two, right? So right now, Gala, hottest coin out there. I don't recommend shorting this at all. On top of Sol, it's not a coin you want to short, guys, because there's no signs of bearish divergence at all. There's only signs of it being really low, for example, on a daily, and just shooting up. You see it on a really low time frame on the weekly where the RSI is so low. And then it can just very well end up correcting hard Sol because of the dip earlier. So right now, there's tons of hot coins out there. If you just take a look on the crypto scanner, you're going to see some major coins that have moved. For example, if I go to my daily overview and I look at all coins that have moved 5%, look how many coins I see on here. It's basically every coin. It's got 20 coins that have moved over 5%. And we see some of them like ZIL, SOL, GMT. There's 5 coins that have moved over 10%. And then if we take a look on the weekly gainers and losers, we see that these coins have moved. Okay, it's only Monday, so it's not really a good chart to take a look at. But let's say in 4 hours, in the past 4 hours, ZIL has moved 21%. If you go to RSI, you're going to see a lot of coins now that are actually oversold. In the past few days, we didn't see any coins on the daily that were over 70 RSI. Sorry, I meant overbought. But now we're actually seeing it. So it's pretty interesting. I'm just going to take a look at the question. What is the possibility for breaking that resistance? Rick Voss, no idea. That's an impossible question to answer. And the way I would answer that is, instead of guessing, it's better to react, right? It's better to react as you get data coming in as a day trader rather than guess. And that's why I was talking earlier about creating that lower high and then breaking that previous low. And that's a great short entry for myself. So you'd rather react to the data coming in than guess. Guessing, it doesn't really do well. Nice job, So. You killed it on Gala yesterday. You can pay me with a yacht. Do you think Bitcoin can go down to 10K? Yeah, of course, it's possible. It's why would it not be possible, right? It's also possible that Bitcoin could be at the bottom already. We just don't know, but it's good to have a plan to react to what happens if we do go lower. If Bitcoin ends up going lower, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm gonna inject like hundreds of thousands of dollars into my portfolio. Because if you think of the next bull market, okay, I got a serious moment for a second. If you guys think of the next bull market, like 2017, if you missed it, very sorry. Bitcoin went from $600 to like 20K. It did one of the stupidest gains in the history of anything. So that ROI, it was huge. And as you go into further bull markets for Bitcoin, it's going to become a less and less ROI. So you had coins like IOTA, EOS, OmiseGo, XRP, coins that have done thousands of percents. And I'm just naming a few that I caught, right? So when you get into in the earlier phases of crypto, the ROI is going to be huge. So if you missed it, sorry, man. But 2021, it was also volatile, but the ROI was much less. Like we're talking like 1,000% less. So you're not going to gain nearly as much. So for example, now the ROI from like 15,000 or whatever it's at now, 17,000, sorry, to 100,000, ROI is like like a little bit over 5, right? So it's a lot less. So that means that you've got kind of like last opportunity to do something crazy with crypto, and it might be the last bull market for anybody to become like super rich millionaires. So I'm treating this as literally the last bull market that I'm ever going to see. Because let's say Bitcoin got to 100,000 and then we got into a huge bear market again, another bear market cycle, right? Our full cycle. Bull market begins, then bear market for another year and a half, 2 years. Well, then the next target would probably be like 250,000. That ROI is only 2.5. So it becomes less and less each time. So you guys better be studying and preparing. Like, I don't want to be working right now because the market's a lot slower than in a bull market. But you got to be present every day. You got to study. You have to review. You got to go back to all the trades that happened in 2017, 2021, and figure out exactly how you would have entered using that bar replay feature. Because if you're not studying and you're just going to go into the bull market, you're just going to be free food for a guy like me that's going to completely destroy you in the market. And I say destroy you because it's a competitive market. When someone loses, it's not like the money just goes nowhere. It's an exchange in wealth and currency. When I win, I'm literally taking some guy that lost his money. When I lose, my loss goes to someone else's profit. That's how it goes. That's why we're always competing against each other. So you better make sure you're good as a trader and you're focusing on what you should be doing in a bull market. How are these bull markets identified, right? What strategy am I going to use? Ask yourself that. What strategy am I actually going to use for the bull market? And which trades am I only going to take? You better write down a list of criterias of trades to take and when to take them. Because you can't go into the bull market saying, I'm going to trade every single coin every time I see an opportunity. That doesn't work. That's what I did the first year in 2017, and I did shitty. It was my first bull market. I only made a lot of money on the coins that I held for a long time. And of course, day trading, it was pretty lucky. I had like 2 years of experience, did all right, but nothing compared to 2021. So the more experience you have and the more you study, you're going to do better. And I did well in 2021 because I studied the 2017 bull market and I knew exactly what kind of trades I was going to take. And now it's even more isolated with breakout patterns and using chandelier exits to ride the volatility combined with EMA. So I think I'm going to end it here, guys. It's a little bit long already, so thank you very much for joining me. There wasn't really too many questions today. I appreciate you guys joining me. Make sure you're watching out for that 18,200 Bitcoin resistance range on the 2-day chart in the channel with the 55 EMA and also the chandelier exit indicator. Make sure you guys are very conscious about not shorting these super volatile coins like Sol, like Gala, like Ocean, because they're really difficult to catch the top. And you don't want to be doing that when a coin is really bullish, doing 100%, because you just don't know and it's too risky. So change up that mindset and divide it between, some coins are still bearish and some coins are doing these 100% gains, which I should probably avoid shorting. And say that to yourself and always exercise caution because you got to protect yourself, guys. Risk management is the key to being successful long term. So thank you very much for joining me, everybody, and have yourself a great day. Bye now.